Hey guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, December 19th. It is 2:03 right now. Our scheduled mentoring session is for 2 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we'll get started with our group mentoring session for this week. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will just finish setting this up and we'll get started with an overview of our strategies and any questions that came up, during the session today. So let me just go ahead and update this real quick. All right, looks good. A couple more things here to update. All right, solid. So we got everything here pretty much set and ready to go. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Make sure that's muted real quick. All right, solid. Get this link sent out to you guys right there. And I'll give it a few moments for people to start making their way into the room. Update this link right here. All right, cool. Looks like people are still making their way in, so I'll get a few moments for people to join. All right. It's one last place for me to post this link. So good afternoon, guys. Looks like a couple of you guys have made it in here on the Zoom. Today is Monday, December 19th. It is 2:05 right now. Our scheduled mentoring sessions for 2 p.m., our normal time for Mondays. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We don't have any questions lined up. So for the most part, I'm probably going to look over or just review the strategies that we're currently applying. And then I'm also going to take a look at a couple of entries that some of you guys sent me after the live session. I did see the profits, and it looks like some of you guys here did post some profits and some trades that you guys took, and there's some trades that you guys were unsure about. I typically don't trade after that session unless I tell you guys I am, but I'll show you some of the trades that some of the people in the group here did take. So it looks like we're pretty much good to go. I think people will continue to make their way in, so that's all good. People will just, trickle their way into the session as we continue on. Let's see, question from Will. Will's asking, hey, was there any entry after the live session? There were a couple entries, but I didn't take any of them. So we can go over a couple of those. We'll go over the strategies, and I'll show you if anything really came up there. Let me look over the Forex trades real quick, guys, because I know the Forex market just reopened. I want to make sure there's not any entries here that we're missing. There's one here for odd CAD, not one I'd take because everything here is pretty much bullish. We got a sell signal there. I wouldn't take it though. Odd JPY. Now I'll look for sell there. Nothing there. Odd CHF though is one that I would possibly take. I think it's too close, so I don't think this is one I would necessarily want to get into. The spread for odd CHF is super wide. It's 27 pips, so probably not the best position to take, especially if you're, if the move is so small. So let me see how far is this. Yeah, it's just way too small. I think it's the swap spread right now, or the swap spread starting to happen. So it's 2 o'clock right now. I think the swap spread's till 4. The spread right now is 26 pips. Definitely not a good time to enter any trades. Yeah, the spread's super wide. So there's nothing for us to take right now with regard to Forex. I will take a look. I'm just going to mark these up. So when we get back from the swap, I can, take a look and see if there's anything here that we could possibly take, but I don't think there's anything right now specifically. But yeah, well, we'll take a look at the entries that, or possible entries that came up after the live. Again, I didn't take any of those trades, so I have no profits from today. Some of you guys did take a couple trades. There's a handful of profits to share, amongst the group, but there just isn't anything I took. So CAD CHF too small too, so not one I'd take. I'll mark it up to see so we can follow, but not one I would necessarily take myself. One right here for CHF JPY. I don't really like this pair, but again, for this, we can also follow this to see where it goes. Yeah, this is way too big of a push, but I typically cap it at 100 pips. This one's currently running right now. This trade came up at about 10 o'clock today, I think. Yeah, so the reason why this here would be an entry is because we have a buy signal right there. Everything here is bullish. The 8 hours bullish, daily is bullish. The trade's currently in profit. The TP would typically be up here. So if you want to go for full TP, that's where it would go. But it's not one that I would necessarily like to take. I don't even like trading this pair, CHF, JPY. The reason why I don't typically like trading this pair is because CHF and JPY are both the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen. These are both safe haven currencies. So like typically these are going to move in the same direction. So they're not really it's not a good pair to trade. UJ would be a good pair to trade. USD CHF would be a good pair to trade, but CHF JPY, these typically move in the same direction. So you get a lot of this like sideways movement. So you can see right here, this thing goes sideways for like a long time. It's a big range. Not necessarily the type of asset that I would personally want to trade. So I'll follow it and we'll see where it goes. Not necessarily one I would take, but it is currently running. As you guys can see, we're in the swap spread right now. So the spread's currently 24 pips, way too big for you guys to make entry. So definitely do not recommend you guys entering trades here. I'm just pretty much scouting the charts right here real quick to see if there's anything that I could possibly get into later if, if it allows. So EG right here is sideways. EJ over here is bullish. So this is one that I would possibly take, maybe not right now, but again, when the market reopens. Spread for this is not as bad as 10 pips. Still a lot. It's still a lot, but not as bad as the other ones, like 25, 30 pips or so. It's just way too wide. So I'm gonna cap this at 100 pips. I'll come back to that later. Just gonna mark them up right here so that we can come back and look when we have the opportunity. Euro USD right here, probably look for a buy signal when it comes up. Not there yet. GA over here, nothing. We'll look for a buy signal. Nothing here. GBP CHF. This was one trade that I pretty much looked at during the live session earlier. I mentioned that this would have been an entry here, but it didn't really line up with the other time frames. The 8 hour here was turning bearish. The daily here was turning bearish as well, but it didn't confirm. Price was still going a bit sideways. However, this trade is currently running. Not a trade I took, but just wanted to show you guys examples of the Forex trades that I typically take. So this one's currently running right now. Take a look at that later. Nothing here for GJ, GN, nothing there. GU, nothing there. NZD CAD, nothing there. NZD CHF, nothing there. This is bullish, this is neutral, and this is bearish. So it's not, there's no alignment with regard to direction. NZD JPY right here is currently running. This entry came up this morning, 6 a.m. It's currently still active, so it's got a long way to go. Not one that I took. I typically wait until like the market goes into full swing. So like typically today, later tonight, afternoon is usually where I'll look for entries. Sunday hasn't really been too good to us, so I typically try to avoid it. Or if I do take a trade, I take it for like a 1% risk. Nothing too risky so that I can cover all bases if necessary. All right, because you just don't want to take anything too risky on a Sunday. You might get fake outs on Sunday open, and then price will correct back in your direction into the week. You'll probably end up holding that trade for a long time. USD CHF is currently running right here. I'll come back and take a look at that later when market reopens. Again, it's not one I take right now, but just looking at everything here, the daily here is bearish. You can see prices below the pivots, trend meters red, pivots are angling down. Same with the 8 hour over here. This is also bearish, right? Prices below the pivots, trend meters red, pivots are angling down. So this confirms that it's in a long-term bearish trend. So price is going downwards, right? So for the 4 hour over here, you can see that we do have a sell momentum signal right there. So where I would typically write it is to the next low here, which hasn't been tested. So this area right here, has not been tested yet. And this would be my target price point. So if we have momentum here coming down, that's typically where I'm expecting it to go, right? Because if price does drop lower, this is where it needs to test before it either bounces back or if it breaks below and continues dropping from there, right? There's two different scenarios that can play out right here. But pretty much all of my analysis here is indicating a sell. So if I do see this come back down, I may take this for a late entry. I'll come back and look at this later. I'll show you an example of like when this would actually play out, which would be right here. This is the same exact entry that I'm showing you guys right here, right? We have a sell signal, everything's bearish. You take this sell entry right here, and then you ride this to the next level right here, right? The low that hasn't been tested. TP stop loss is about, 62 pips. It's the same exact entry, literally the same setup right here is what I see right here. This one right here, there's no low, so I wouldn't take that trade. But this one right here, there's a low there, so you have a target price point to reach. So if I was to take this right here, same exact setup, sell signal right there, everything's bearish, 8 hours bearish, daily's bearish. If you took that trade right there and you ride that down to the next low right here, which is what I just marked up for you guys for this specific trade that just came up, you can see here it does pull back a little bit, right? Some retracement. But eventually what happens? Price comes down and it goes straight to your profit target right there. It takes some time, but eventually does hit. You can see another example right here. Simple, right? You got to keep trading simple, guys. That's what I try to remind you guys every time, because I feel like a lot of people want to overcomplicate trading. So here's another one. It's actually a bigger move, 100 pip move for USD CHF. Same exact setup. Sell signal right there. This is on Tuesday, November 30th. Let's go check the 8 hour, right? Tuesday, November 30th. Where was it? It's right here, right? Tuesday, November 30th, bearish. Tuesday, November 30th over here, bearish. So what do we do on the 4 hour? We see the sell entry right here. Same exact setup, full TP. Another one right here. Same exact setup. You ride it to the next low right there, 60 pips. Like literally no drawdown, straight to profit target, right? So it's very simple. You just have to look for the overall direction. And then when you see momentum in that direction, you take the trade. Easy sell, easy sell, easy sell. And then the one for today, it's the same exact setup. You guys see this here? It's just a repeat. Sell signal, bearish, sell, you let it ride, full TP. Sell signal, bearish, let it ride, full TP. Sell signal, bearish, let it ride, full TP. Sell signal, bearish, right, let it ride, full TP, right? It's the same thing. You're just rinsing and repeating the same process over and over again. Sell signal right here. I wouldn't take this trade though, even though I saw this right here. It did drop like super heavily, but as you guys can see over here, there's no lows, right? So I'm not taking that trade because I'm not taking that risk. I only take it when I have a target to reach. Like whenever you enter a trade, you want to know where the TP is. You want to know where the stop loss is. You don't want to enter a trade and just pray to God it's going to come in your position, right? Here's one right here where this one right here, I probably wouldn't take this one either because, so looking at this here, short position, the low is like right there. It's too close. So if you look at the low over here, I'm not taking this trade to go for 5 pips. So, I'm weighing my risk here. So basically this is what I'm looking for. If I see this right here play out, then I'll take the trade. If not, then it's not a big deal. I'll wait for another one. So there goes one right there. For this Forex pair. I'll come back and take a look at this when the swap is over. Swap is 12 pips, way too wide. Not worth taking the risk right now because you're going to get in and you're going to be super deep in the negative on entry. So definitely not going to take that trade there. I'll come back for it though in the next couple hours or so. If it's still there, like about 4 o'clock and the spread is down, then I'll take it for a late entry. And I'll give you guys a signal in the premium group. Other than that, let me go over here and let's take a look at US 30 now. So Will's question a little while ago was whether there were any entries after the live session. So let me go over here real quick. Here's US 30 on the 10-minute, US 30 on the 5-minute. So this is pretty much the direction like this entire day, right? So let me go over here and I'll see if there was any entries that came up. I remember someone sent me a message at like, it was like a little bit after the live. So I think it was this one right here around 9 o'clock. There was anything from like 8. Yeah, there was nothing here at 9. There's actually one right here. Yeah. So this is one that someone took actually in a group. They messaged me about this and they're like, hey, Sean, would you take this trade? And I said, yeah, if it closes, I would take it. I didn't take it though, because it closed too fast and I just wasn't paying attention at the time. So looking at this one right here, right? This is at 8:55. So we got off the live at 8 o'clock. 8:55, this trade came up. Unfortunately, I wasn't at my screen. Set up the TP stop loss right there. I don't think there was news at that time either. Let me check the calendar real quick. Just want to make sure because typically I wouldn't take that trade because usually from 8 to 10, market is going sideways. Let me check the news for today. There was nothing around that time. Price was actually going sideways here. So I personally wouldn't have taken this trade, but just looking at it, I mean, it looks like an okay trade, not a great trade, but it looks like an okay trade. Actually, now that I look at it this way, I probably wouldn't have taken it. It's going sideways. Well, let's see if it plays out. So basically the strategy that was applied for this entry right here, let me go and put the requirements right up here for the momentum scalp. So confirm trading in overall direction of trend, right? So looking over here, this was at 8:55. Looking at the timestamp over here for the 5-minute, this is bearish. Looking over here on the 10-minute, this is bearish as well. We had a sell signal here on the 10-minute, sell signal here on the 5-minute, sell signal here on the 1-minute, right? This is where you'd make the entry. Once you have confirmed everything, overall direction of trend is bearish. Momentum signal on the 10, momentum signal on the 5, momentum signal on the 1, everything lines up, right? All the requirements are met. You enter on the close of the 1-minute candle, this one, let the trade run, and yeah, blasted right through TP. So not necessarily one I would personally take because I don't like trading after 8:30 at most, or even 8 o'clock typically. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock is usually a iffy trading time. However, price did blast right through TP right here. So the person that did take this trade, they did hit full TP. I forgot who sent it to me, but it was someone in the group. So as you guys can see, trades still come on after the live. It's just a risky time to trade, right? Because you guys don't have me there really analyzing it for you. And it just becomes an iffy situation. Like with price moving sideways like this, I probably would have skipped it, but the person that did identify this, they did take the trade, they hit TP. They just wanted to check with me to make sure that they did things properly. So one of the red flags here, ranging market, but you know, sometimes not everyone can identify that. So there's one entry right there, Will. Let's see. B said, is there a pending momentum on the, no, so there doesn't need to be a pending momentum on the 5 or 10. There just needs to be a sell momentum there. So if you look over here, so this entry was at 8:55, right? So you go to the 5-minute over here at 8:55. There was a sell signal there already, right? So everything lines up. All the requirements here are met for that specific entry. Oh yeah. B said, right, got you. I was looking at the right. Yeah. So this over here, again, over here on this one, it was at the same time. So everything here pretty much lined up. All the requirements lined up. So first requirement, confirm trading overall direction trend. Everything's bearish. Next, you want to confirm momentum on the 10-minute. There's a sell signal here. 3-minute, same thing. There's a sell signal here. 10-minute, 5-minute, and then 1-minute for step 4. Sell signal. This is where the entry is made. The only thing that I'd avoid here is because of the ranging market. So red flags right here. When to avoid trades, but when to avoid trades, when to avoid trades when price is ranging. So, but I mean, this isn't the end all be all, right? If you guys don't care about risk and you're like, whatever, I'm gonna take the trade, then you don't have to follow this. You'll see a lot of trades here that still hit, even though, you know, this criteria is lined up. But for me personally, I don't like taking risky trades, especially on the live session, because I'm not here to give you guys bad trades. Every trade I show you guys on the live that I actually take, like I'm pretty much convinced that it's going to hit. Like I don't take the trade worried or scared. When I see a trade come up and it lines up, then I take it and I let it do what it needs to do. If it wins, it wins. If it loses, it loses. But I have full confidence in all the trades I take on the live session. So yeah, it was in the direction of the trend B. So that's one right there. Let me see if there was another one. I think there was a couple more here as well. Well, I know it took a while for it to come because price was kind of bouncing around a bit. You know, the whole live session today was kind of trash. There was nothing going on. This one right here wouldn't be an entry because it's not bearish, right? Price is actually bullish here on the trend for the 1 minute. So this one right here would not be an entry. Here's another one right here. Let me see if we get a sell signal. Okay, so here's one right here too. This one came up a little later at 9:24. So I'll just move this up a little bit. This entry came up at 9:24, which would be right here. I'm pretty sure it was still bearish on the 10-minute as well. Yeah. So let me go over here and just go over the requirements again. So same thing, same exact strategy. The 1 minute is right here. Let's go over the requirements again with step by step. So for one, you want to confirm you're trading in the direction of overall trend. Everything here is still bearish, right? 1 minute's bearish, price below the pivots. Trend meter is not red here, but it is turning red because it went from green to blue. It's possibly going to be red, but you can see that price is below the pivots. So you can assume that this is going to be bearish. The reason why you can assume this is because the 5 minute here is already bearish and the 10 minute here is already bearish, right? So we're going to assume that this is going to turn bearish, on the following candle. So everything here is pretty much bearish. It's a bit risky because it's not confirmed here. You can look on the trend meter. It's not necessarily red, but I can assume that this is going to turn red because everything else is bearish. So overall direction of trend, 5 minute, 10 minutes bearish. That's going to overpower, one. It's 2-to-1 right here. Two time frames are bearish and one time frame is neutral. Odds of this being bearish is very likely. Second step over here, confirm momentum on the 10 minute. We have a sell signal here. Number 3, confirm momentum on the 5 minute. Sell signal right there. Number 4, confirm momentum on the 1 minute. Momentum signal right there. Enter on the close of the 1 minute candle. Short position right here. TP stop loss 100, 300. There we got the setup. Let the trade run. Full TP on the next candle. So I didn't take any of these trades here, but a lot of people in the group did take these trades. And as you guys can see, as long as you follow the requirements and you don't screw around, like you should be perfectly fine. Just don't take shortcuts, right? Because what happens with a lot of people is they take shortcuts. Like if you don't see the sell signal here close, you can't take the trade. What happens with a lot of people is they'll hop in early, like before the candle closes, and then they end up getting caught in the trade. So it happens to a lot of people. It happens to you. No biggie. You just got to get over that hump of entering trades too late or entering trades too early. Other than that, Will, let's see if there's any other entries here. I'm pretty sure there was a couple more because the market started to finally pick up like a little later in the session. So there was 2 entries right there, back-to-back wins. Let's see if there's another one over here. There's another one right here. Or no, there's no sell signal there. All right, so there's one right here, but I think this candle is too big, so I wouldn't have taken it. That's another one of the red flags. Actually, I think this one's okay. Typically, the candle's too big if the stop loss is farther than the candle width. So if this candle is past this stop loss right here, it's definitely too big and I wouldn't take the trade. So this one right here actually does hit as well. Same requirements, sell signal, bearish, 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 sell signal on the 10, sell signal on the 5, sell signal on the 1. This is where entries taken, TP stop loss 100, 300. Let the trade run, full TP. Let's see, question from B. B's asking, what do you typically do when you enter after a candle close if you get filled further down, if there's a spike after the candle close? So when you see something like that, B, typically it's probably going to be past your TP already, right? So for example, right here. So this is kind of what you mean, right? This is actually a prime example. So for example, right here, if you enter this trade and you're like, oh crap, like say you're watching it spike, and then at the last second you enter and your entry is like down here already, right? As soon as price goes back into profit, I'm going to pull out in profit. I'm not going to get greedy at all, or I would even probably close out with a small loss if that's the case. For this thing here, the candle's not that big. I mean, it's big, but not too big, right? So I'd probably wait for the next candle to push down a little bit. And what I would typically do is I would just move my TP closer. So when price kind of pulls back like this, if I'm worried about pulling out in the negative, if I close out manually, what I'll do is I'll just move my TP up a little bit, like basically to break even, right? Or just like where there's at least some profit. I'll move it up like really tight so that when it does come back down, it'll just close you out automatically. So that's typically what I do. Or most of the time I just exit manually. So like, for example, if I do enter late, So say I enter late, like right here, same thing with what I just mentioned, right? But I enter like not as late as I mentioned. Like if I enter like right here, right? At this point, I would just manually close it out. Probably get like $100 profit, $200 profit. I should have made 1,000, but I'd rather get out with that much profit than, risking getting caught in a reversal if and when it does happen. Obviously, it didn't happen here, but it could have happened. This one right here. So I didn't get a question about this. I think with this one right here, people already stopped trading because they started to see the range. So this is a more clear range. If you go back to this entry right here, let me go back and I'll just pull these out as well to see what it looks like here. So this was at 10. So there was actually no entry off this one right here. So this entry came up at 10:18. If you can see here on the 5-minute, there's a buy signal. So there's no entry from that. Yeah. So in order for you to have an entry for this one right here at 10:18, you'd have to have a sell signal here on the 5. So there's actually no entry here. That's probably why I didn't get a question about this one, because there's no actual entry there. Let me see if there's anything else. This one's too big of a candle. I could already clearly tell this one's like way too huge. So there definitely would not be an entry off this one. Actually, this one's not too bad, but the problem with this is that the TP is past the sessions right here. So I wouldn't have taken this trade here. That falls under my my red flags. Yeah, red flags right here would be candle prior to, or sorry, let me see. Price is too close to sessions. So red flags want to avoid trades when price is near sessions. The sessions is right here. So in order for me to hit my TP, I would have to get past the sessions, right? So I would have just skipped that trade there. I mean, it does hit TP, but I still wouldn't have taken it because I'm weighing the risks here with regard to the entry. So yeah, nothing off that there. Let me see if there's anything else here for us to look at. I think that's pretty much all the entries for today, because I think the market started to turn mid-session. But let me just check. I'll just keep going down a little further to see if there's anything else. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. There's actually another entry right here. So this one came up at 10:55. This one actually would have been okay because there was a sell signal right there. This one came up at 10:57. But again, like I mentioned, I don't take trades after 8. So like a lot of this stuff will be at your own risk. I typically don't recommend you guys trade this late. But if you guys do want to trade, I know there's some of you guys who still do, just be careful with looking for these ranging markets, because that's typically where you want to avoid it. But again, right here, another entry. Same exact strategy. Right there, sell signal, bearish, sell signal here, sell signal there. This is where the entry would have been. Obviously, you guys blast right through TP. So there, it looks like after the live session, there was about like 4 or 5 entries that were just back-to-back wins. There's probably more here. Another one right here, but this is too close to the session, so I wouldn't have taken it, although it would have hit TP right there, it looks like. Yeah, this one did hit TP. Another one right here. There was actually a lot of entries. So there's like about 7 entries here that are all wins. They just kept coming up back to back to back, but they came up pretty late into the session. Another one right here, another full TP. So there was a lot here that came up. Another one right there. I think that candle might have been too big, but it looks like it still hits TP. Or I don't know. Let's see. So this one didn't hit TP. This one actually hit stop loss. This was too close in the session though. I mean, too late in the session. So this entry came up at 11:51. This is like too late because you're getting close to market close. And then at that point, you start to get a lot of market manipulation because a lot of people are getting out of the market before the end of day. End of day is going to be about like 1 to 1:30 p.m. And you can see here market starts to range and it starts to reverse the other way because a lot of people are buying the dip right here. They go for that end of market rally. Their price rallies up at the end of market. And then the market closes right about there. It's where the market gets flat and it closes. So those are pretty much all the entries for today. It looks like there was like pretty much all wins aside from the ones that came up really late, but it wouldn't really matter because we don't trade during that time. Usually my cutoff for trading is like 11:30, 12, because you can see right here. Let me just show you real quick on this chart. Take a lot of stuff off here. So you guys can see right here where the reversal starts to play out, right around 12 o'clock. So this is why I typically stop trading after, and I'll show you real quick. So 12 o'clock is right here. You can see how this mid-market reversal starts to play out, right? You get that end of market rally. And then right here is close to market close. Price just gets flat and goes sideways. We typically trade from 6:30 to 8. So I'll mark it up right here. You guys will see markets pretty volatile during that time. That's why that's the best time for you guys to trade US 30, because this is where the market opens and you can see the volatility in the market, right? Price goes up, price goes down. From 8 to 10 over here for we'll market it from 8 to 9. 8 to 9 right here, price pretty much goes sideways for a bit. It's a consolidation phase. This is why I typically don't trade around 8 or like after 8 o'clock. Lots of consolidation right here. And then again, from 9 to 10, even more consolidation. Right. So you guys can kind of see why I don't like trading around these time periods, because it's just a sideways movement. Sideways movement right there. See some sideways movement right there, comes down a little bit, back into the sideways movement. And then same thing here for the 9 o'clock to 10, sideways movement right here. Drops down a little bit, back into sideways movement. There's not really much direction here, so there's not much to do. You know, what will happen is you'll see price break out of the range, and then now you're screwed because you're stuck in another consolidation phase. So price consolidates, drops below, consolidates, swings up, stops you out, consolidates, comes back down, consolidates. And then right here is where I usually re-enter the market between 10 and 11 or 10 and 11:30, because price starts to move directional again. So you guys will see that the same pattern plays out over and over again. That's why there's key times when you should be trading US 30 and key times when you should be sitting out. But yeah, I mean, if there's any other questions, you know, feel free to drop them in the chat, guys. Otherwise, we don't really have too many questions for today. We do have one more mentoring session after this, which is with Jonathan. We're basically going to cover like a lot of trade psychology stuff. Let me just message him real quick. Hey, Jonathan, if you're okay with having your session just combined with this one, we can do that. Unless if you want it separate, we can do that as well. It's just easier because everyone's already on the session, and I can put you on the mic and we can start talking. Well, let me just get you on. Let me ask you real quick. Okay, cool. So Jonathan's actually cool with combining it. So I was supposed to have a separate one-on-one private mentoring session with Jonathan, but he's okay with just going on with it after this. Since you guys are already on here, there's no point in me like getting off here and sending out another link for you guys to rejoin when we can just do it directly on here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to have a one-on-one mentoring session with Jonathan right now. And we're just going to go over trade psychology stuff. So he's already pretty much good with the strategies. Now he just needs help with trade psychology, which is pretty much everyone's issue. So if you guys want to stay on here and listen in, you guys are more than welcome. I think this will be beneficial to anyone who trades, especially if you guys can't find consistency or discipline with your trading. Let's see. So we have one question here from Shashwat Bharti. So he's asking, hey, should we start trading after 9:30 for US 30? So I trade from 6:30 to 8. I'm not sure which time zone you're talking about. Bharti, are you talking about East Coast time or West Coast time? Or like which time zone you're talking about? Because I do trade at 6:30 a.m. That's equivalent to 9:30 Eastern. So if you're talking about 9:30 Eastern, then yes, you should trade between 6:30 and 8. That's when I trade every morning. But it's really up to the time zone. I'm not sure where you're located or which time zone you're referring to. But typically when I trade, if you've seen any of my live sessions, I only trade from 6:30 to 8. So like basically from 6:30 right here, my time, until 8 o'clock. This is the only time I trade usually. Sometimes I'll trade, if there's no trades between this period, I'll trade until 8:30, but that's about it. It's my cutoff. So yeah, Barty, okay, EST, yeah. So yeah, exactly. You're on point with the times to trade US 30. This is the best time to trade because the market opens at 6:30 or 9:30 Eastern, which you just referred to. You guys can see here that the market's pretty slow pre-market, right? So like right here, market's kind of, it consolidates a bit right here. Consolidates a lot actually. And it just goes sideways. So it's not a good time to trade pre-market. Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. If there's news going on, then yeah, maybe it's a good time to trade because you'll get a lot of volatility. But typically this is not, it's not a good time to be trading this here. I trade right here from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. That's pretty much my time because you can see here from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, again, you get a lot of consolidation ranging right here, which is not a good area to trade in. You want price to be moving if you're trading US 30, right? You don't want to be in this trade for too long because it can easily just reverse on you if you hold on for it for longer than you want to. Question from Barty. Barty's asking, how can I get those indicators high, and high, low? So that's my high, low indicator. It's the one that I created. So it's this one right here, right? This is the one you're referring to. Yeah, so this is the indicator that you're referring to right here, where it identifies the higher highs, lower lows, and higher lows. This indicator right here, if you want access to this indicator, this is really useful. So some of the best ways to use this are if you guys like to trade strategies like support and resistance, right? So like, for example, if you like to trade support and resistance, you can identify where all these highs are sitting. And you can pretty much mark up your area where you'll identify resistance, right? So for example, here, if you were to use this, this is one trade that one of our members actually took. I don't think he's in here. Cameron. So Cameron actually took a sell right here because he identified this using these higher highs, or basically all the highs here. He pretty much identified all these highs. And then when he saw the breakout right here in the morning, what he did was when he saw the rejection off this point, and he also used a momentum indicator. So he used this right here. And then once he saw the sell signal right here, or not right there. Yeah, once he saw the sell signal, this is where he took like a pretty big ride to the downside, or he caught it when it was pending because he got in early, I think like somewhere over here. And he pretty much just rode this down to this low because this indicator is really versatile. You can use this to identify target price points. You can also use them to identify support and resistance. You can use this to identify a lot of things, rejections, reversal times. If you guys know the variation strategy, this is actually a V1 entry right here too, because you have a high there. It's a pending momentum. It's a double body. So if you guys know my strategy, V1 variation. So check this out real quick. So confirm overall bias. We already knew today was a sell, right? All day today, we were looking for sells. Use the high low to identify the high lows. You have the high right there. Confirm the candle following is a double wick or double body. It's a double body rejection right there, right? Next, you want to confirm the pending momentum, the direction of the trade. We have a buy signal here. So the next signal is going to be a sell signal. So you know momentum is going to come back down. You enter a short position right here. And using this high low indicator, you already know where the target's going to be, right? Target's going to be down here. This is where we're expecting price to go to, right? So depending on how you want to trade, I'm a scalper, so I don't like holding on to trades for that long. But if you wanted to, you can hold it down to here. I typically like using whole numbers. So this right here is 122. I'll probably go down to like 110 to cover the spread, right? Let the trade run from that point. Eventually it comes down. I mean, it takes a long time. But at this point, you should probably move your stop loss and profit. This is why I don't like holding trades for too long, because stuff like this will happen, right? If you guys have seen my entries right here, TP stop loss is 130. So if you would have used that TP stop loss for this right here, you can see from the requirements, TP stop loss is 130. I only go for small moves. So that right there, if I saw that entry there, full TP, no drawdown. Right. But some people will take it for the full move. Like what you can do is you can set up multiple TPs here. You know, I don't trade this way, but I can show you how to do it. Like typically what I'll do is I'll divide it. So right here, 110 is going to be full TP. I'll just divide that in half. So 110 divided by 2, 55 is next. So this could be a full TP. This could be TP2 or something. And then, you can have a TP1 over here as well, like for a 1-to-1. If you wanted to do it that way. I mean, you don't have to, but if you were to do it that way and you just scale out, basically when price gets to that point, you take profit there, maybe half of your position size, and then price makes its way down lower right here. You take off another half of your position size. And then from that point, you're pretty much in profit. You guaranteed your profit, and then price drops lower, then you leave like 10% runner right there, and you could just keep it running. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. If you guys have questions regarding that, I mean, I can show you how to do that, but I don't trade that way. So that's not necessarily how I typically teach you guys how to trade, because I just scalp. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Barty also mentioned it's good for supply and demand. So the way that I use it for supply and demand is a little different. You probably don't use it this way. This is how I personally use it. But like generally, if I see something like, okay, so for example, right here, we had the sell signal, right? So if I have a sell signal right here and I have a higher high from this point, what I'll do is I'll mark this up as supply and demand, right? This point. And then when I get a momentum signal for a buy, like something like this right here, then I mark this lower point as the supply and demand. So I don't trade supply and demand. I forgot what you guys referred to. I think you consider the top areas supply, and then these bottoms demand, right? So like when I identify that, that's where you can identify supply and demand. So you have this level up here. Now that price is up here, you can pretty much identify it to identify your zones right there. So you can see right here, price does respect these zones around these areas. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not a supply and demand trader, so I can't really teach you any supply and demand, but you guys can use this indicator to help you confirm those zones. And that's how I personally use it. I don't trade supply and demand, but Maddie does. I know he's not in the group right now. He's doing something, but that's what he uses it for. So if you want to use it that way, it's available to you. But yeah, if you want access to this party, just go to the website, kodikaitrades.com, and then click on this right here. This will take you to the website to get access. I got to fix that. Sorry, guys. This link here is not working. I got to go and update this link in a little bit. So just what you'll do is just go on this website here. And then if you go down to the bottom over here, this will have the pricing for everything. I think these links should still work. Yeah, so these links here do work. I got to fix this one though. So I'll fix this right after we're done with the live session. It just takes you to the website. It takes you to the same place, but it just shows you where all the options are. But you can also just scroll down and go to pricing, and then it'll tell you right here for your access to the indicators. I mean, it pretty much pays itself off once you take a couple of trades and win. But yeah, Marty, if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. If there's anything else you want me to show you, I can show you. It's really, I'm here to show you guys whatever you guys need help with, whether it's using my strategies or not. I can show you how my indicators can help with you identifying certain things on the chart. I know Barack wanted me to cover his strategy, but he's not here right now, so we're going to hold off on that. He has this strategy that he uses with the CCI indicator. I was trying to confirm with him how it works, but I think it's like 2 o'clock where he's located, 2 a.m. So he's probably asleep. Anelli said it's because news price was, oh, okay, gotcha, Anelli. So that entry earlier that we just looked at, where price went the opposite, there was like news price right there. So thanks, Anelli, for confirming that. But yeah, typically if I see an entry, for any strategy, really, you guys can typically, you can just write it. Like, for example, right here. So say, for example, and this is actually a really good entry. So using this right here, I'm going to show you why this is a good entry, guys, because this aligns with a couple of different strategies. So looking over here at the momentum scalp, we're already looking for sells this day. So confirm trade in the direction of overall trend. Obviously, it was bearish. We're going to assume that the 10-minute was bearish, 5-minute bearish, and 1-minute bearish, right? Everything here bearish. This would be the sell signal. So this aligns for a momentum scalp strategy. The other strategy that it aligns with is going to be the high-low momentum pivot scalp strategy, right? So again, we just identified overall trend was bearish. You have a momentum signal right here. This is the key thing. You want to draw a zone at the high low before momentum. So like I was just talking with Barty about, we have a sell signal here. What I typically do is I will draw a zone of this candle because I'm identifying this as supply, and this is exactly where I'm expecting price to really have a big push. So if price is bouncing off supply right here, this is where I'm expecting a nice entry to happen to ride to this next level right here, right? So this is about 1,000 pips, 100 points. My stop loss typically will be about like 300 pips. So if you have that set up like that right there, you just let the trade run, and eventually it does come back down and hits TP. So this is one way to trade. You know, I have a lot of ways to trade, guys. So like if there's a specific way that you guys like to trade, but I don't do it on the live session, just let me know. We could sit down for a session. I could show you how to, you know, master that strategy. I know like a ton of ways to trade. It's just during the live session, I don't prefer to hold on to trades for too long. I just want to be in and out pretty quick. So even though you could have made a pretty big move right here, I personally would have pulled out right here for 100 pips. You know, not everyone will pull out right there at 100 pips, but I'm pretty disciplined with my entry and exits. So if I got this entry right here, I would just get in and out. But you do have the opportunity to ride to this level right here. This is what I'm trying to show you guys, that this is really key if you have the trade psychology to actually hold on to it for that long. I mean, I've been trading for 11 years, guys. I still don't have the trade psychology to hold on trades for this long. I just want to be in and out quickly. So it's not for everybody, right? Intraday trading is not for everybody. Scalping is not for everybody. Swing trading is not for everybody. You just got to figure out what works for you and stick to it. Let's see. Barty's asking, did you stop trading US 30? YM is US 30, Barty. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with like what US 30 is based off. US 30 is not a real asset. So US 30 is what a lot of people consider a synthetic asset or a synthetic, yeah, basically a synthetic future. US 30 is based off YM. So YM is the actual future, right? US 30 is an indice which follows YM. So if you want to follow the actual price, like this data that I have here for YM, this is from the actual exchange. US 30 is just data that that brokers create copying this specific asset. So I am trading US 30. This is the actual US 30. So when you trade US 30 from like, so if you type in US 30 and you look at all of these different brokers, you'll see that pricing is different for all of these and they all move a little differently, right? Sometimes one's laggier than the other. Sometimes one's faster than the other. I use this one, which is the real data. This is the raw data that everything's pulled from. So US 30 is just a copy, like all these right here, US 30, Dow 30, Wall Street 30, all this stuff are indices. Indices are just a copy of this one right here, if that makes sense. So I still trade US 30, but I just use the real data here to take entries because you want the fastest data. If you're day trading, you want to make sure that you have the fastest data. Like you don't want anything that's laggy or delayed or just not right? Because sometimes you'll see if you line up the two brokers, you'll see that one's going up and one's going down because one's slower than the other. So that's why I use this one specifically. Barty's asking, how do I search this? So if you want to look for the asset, it's just YM. So YM is the E-mini Dow future. You can see here that there's no broker, right? This is from CBOT. See where I'm getting the data from? I'm getting it from the Chicago Board of Trade. This is like the actual exchange. So US 30 basically just copies what price they have it at. It's just a copy of the same data. Yeah, the symbol is called YM, but you have to pay for this. So if you try to open this on your trading view, it's going to say delayed. So right here it says market's closed, obviously, because it's closed right now. It's during the swap. But if you open this right here, you're going to see this up here and it's going to say delayed. If you open it during real time, I think it's delayed by like 10 minutes. So you can't have the real-time data unless you pay for it. I pay for this on a monthly fee to get the actual raw data from the exchange. Unless you have a futures broker, then Yeah. So the cool thing with this, and I hope there's not too many people listening, that so what I started to notice with me and Maddie is that this data is actually faster than FTMO. So like whenever we take a trade here, following this data right here, I'm already in profit. You know, usually when you take a trade on FTMO, you're in negative because you have to cover the spread. When I take a trade on here, I'm like I'm in positive already. So I'm like rarely ever in negative. I'm in positive already and go straight to my TP. So you kind of get a head start. It's like a second to a split second ahead, which is good because you can cover spread and then you can cover like you basically get a little more profit. If you guys have seen my profits lately, they've been a little higher because I'm getting it at a better price point. So if you guys have seen my profits here, so typically I'm supposed to make 1,000 off a trade, right? So you can see the green strip right here. I'm supposed to make 1,000. For this one, I made 1,500. So I make a little more profit because I get in earlier than FTMO. I mean, FTM will probably catch on to this later, but I think they'll know that that it's the case because I'm trading the actual future. Barty's asking, how did you find this? I mean, I've always known about this. I just never traded the future because what happened was we usually trade US 30 on currency.com, right? This is usually supposed to be the fastest data. But what happened was during the past couple of months, it's been laggy. So you'll see sometimes the chart will freeze and then you like freak out because you're in a position, the chart's frozen. So what I did was like, okay, I'm just going to pay for the data, which is YM. And this one doesn't freeze up because you're getting the data directly from the exchange. You're not getting it from a broker. So that's the main reason why we switched over, but it's the same thing. I mean, if you're trading on here, it's going to move the same as US 30. You're just going to have a head start whenever you take a trade. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to start my session with Jonathan. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to just, or a few moments to put in your questions. If there's no questions, then we'll just start with Jonathan. And then if we finish early, then we can always continue. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. No problem, Barty. Yeah, CT also mentioned, to be clear, we are not trading the YM. We're trading FTMO and other brokers, but we're just charting on YM. So we're not trading on this actual, like we're not charting off this actual symbol, right? We're charting off, we're taking trades off FTMO and other brokers. And CT also mentioned it shows setups faster than FTMO chart because this chart is actually, it's real time. FTMO is copying the data. So they're kind of delayed by like a second or half second. So sometimes you'll run into it and then, you know, it'll be kind of delayed. So you're actually entering trades late. And that's what kind of sucks too sometimes because you'll take a trade on FTMO and you're like a negative, like 100, 200 bucks. You're like, what the heck? And it's because it's delayed. Like price already pushed over here, but then FTMO will be kind of far back. So Barty said, can I scalp like you? Yeah, I mean, you can, bro. If you go on the live sessions every morning, we trade live every morning. So hop on the live session, pretty much take whatever trades I take, and you should be good. That's what I try to tell everyone, right? If you can just focus on the live sessions, you guys should have no problem, you know, passing your FTMO challenges, getting funded, and then staying funded. But it's hard. It's hard. It's easier said than done because a lot of people will still do their own thing. All right, let me message Jonathan to see if he's ready. All right, so let's see. Jonathan just messaged you real quick on. All right, cool. So I'm going to add Jonathan as a co-host. And I'll get you on here. So let's see, make co-host. All right, so you can unmute yourself whenever you're ready, Jonathan.
Hello.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What's up?
Okay, cool. Hey, what's up?
All right, cool, man. What's up?
Yeah, first time talking to you. For like, I think I've been with your group for like 2 years.
I
But I
know.
never actually spoken to you.
Never actually spoke to you,
like
huh?
voice. Yeah. But mainly, I just gotta ask questions about. Well, I have two questions. Mainly about the candle. Like one of the things I had a problem with last week was entering when the candle had a wick.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know if you could go over when a candle is good to enter and when it's not.
Yeah. So, did you have like a specific entry that you were looking at, or like anything from today? Because I can pull it up and then we can look at it. Or if you see anything on the chart here that kind of looks like an issue, because I know what you're talking about. Like sometimes you'll have a pending signal and you'll see a wick, and you're kind of waiting for it to close, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, kind of something like this.
Yeah,
Um,
like that's yeah.
Yeah, so like for this right here, I know this is an issue because when the trade is running or it's real time, you see this thing like flickering, like you'll have a red signal and then it's kind of like bouncing around. Typically, when I'm looking for an entry, I don't really care about the wick at all. I don't look at it at all. I just wait for the candle to actually close. But whenever you see a wick like this, it's gonna mess with your trade psychology because you're gonna see it flickering and you're gonna be worried that this is gonna indicate that the candle is probably not going to be strong, right? But typically, when you have a sell signal on it, like a red momentum, it's going to be a strong candle because it has to close strong. Like you'll never really see a small momentum candle, right? Like if you ever look at these here, this has a big wick, but the body is still pretty big, so it's enough to close the candle. This one over here as well, big body. This one over here, big body. Um, this one over here as well. And then same with this candle right here. So you can see these two over here actually both have, let me turn off the high lows. These over here actually both have a big wick, but they're still
Yeah.
solid trees because they still go in the direction. So what I would do is I would just ignore the wick. I know it's easier said than done, but for the most part, I would just ignore it. But only if it lines up with your entry, right? So you got to make sure all the requirements are met. Like for example, this one over here is not good because it actually pulls back. Let me see if this one actually even hits. Actually, this one's okay. So I mean, it's okay, but it does go in a drawdown. So it goes in a drawdown, but eventually does come down. Let's take a look at the trend meter. So these here are actually not the greatest entries because, yeah, you can see this one's in between the pivots. So if you see something like this, where, I mean, either way, this still wouldn't fit, it wouldn't fit the criteria because it's like not bearish. So you still would have skipped the trade. But I mean, for the most part, whenever you see something with a wick, as long as it meets the criteria, like both of these, I actually would have skipped these two because the trend meter is blue, trend meter is blue. This one looks kind of okay, but I still would skip it. This one over here, I for sure would skip it because it was bullish. It's right in between the pivots. And even though it does hit, I would consider it a risky entry.
Yeah,
Comparing
because
this one, oh, you go ahead.
because it looks like it's ranging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's also ranging. So you even spotted that there. So like for these entries here, I would have just avoided this altogether because price was pretty much just ranging. Sometimes it's easy to see when the range starts, but sometimes it's hard. Like you can't really tell if it's ranging until it actually pushes down a little bit.
How about the entry right there at 925? Would you have entered that one?
This one right here, I probably would have skipped. Well, I mean, it depends. Let's see. So this is from today, actually, right? So if it was strong here on the 5 and the 10 minute, then I probably would have taken it because I probably would have put too much stress on the 1 minute since odds of it coming down are very likely. So 925 right there. Let's see. 925 is also right there. So yeah, for that one, I probably would have taken that one. Because I'm just looking over here. Because you're gonna have to wait all together. You're gonna weigh the multiple time frames.
Right.
And looking over here on the 10, this is pretty bearish, right? You can tell it's bearish. Looking over here on the 5, it's also very bearish. Prices below the pivots, trend meters red. The only thing that would be kind of iffy about this entry is that this 5 minute actually had a pending signal on it. So thinking back, if I was to take this trade here, I probably would have skipped it because it was pending on the specific signal. So like when you were looking at this real time, this is actually 924. So I wouldn't take this trade because this candle closed at 925, right? So before
Yeah.
before this signal here would close, it was actually still green. So you'd actually be on this right here. This is what it would look like.
Oh yeah. So it wouldn't even meet the criteria to answer.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't meet the criteria here at all because this candle here closes at 925. And this one, the buy signal, I mean, the sell signal doesn't even come up until after. So like once this candle has moved over to this one right here, 926, that's when this one over here actually closed out. So it'd be too late.
Right.
Yeah. So there would be no,
Um,
and that's how like the requirements work, right? Because Like you can see over here, these look like you might have taken them, but once you line it up with the other time frames, you would see that there's actually no entry there. So you wouldn't even second guess this. Like you wouldn't even think to take this trade here, and you wouldn't even get caught in that drawdown. Same with this one right here. You'd still be kind of iffed out about it because this here hasn't closed. Eventually it does close, but it's a little too late.
Right. So it's like, yeah, the more confluence is the better for this
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's important to make sure that all the requirements are met. That's why on the live session, I always go by these one by one. So I'm like, okay, if this, if the first one's met, then we go on to the second one. Because what I see a lot that happens lately or recently is a lot of people are skipping steps. Like they're going from, like they think that the overall direction is bearish because we've been looking for sells, but they don't realize that, the 1 minute has shifted. Like for example, here, even though we were looking for sells, this right here is like in between the pivot. So this is obviously neutral or like even bullish because it was bullish above the pivots right before. So like what I see a lot of times is people will skip the first step, but that'll put them in a tight position because they have to go step by step to make sure everything's met before the entries lined up.
So let's say like the 1 minute, like how it's right there in the middle,
Yeah.
between the pivots, but
Mhm.
you have the 5 and 10 that are like basically in a downtrend. You wouldn't take this because it's on the 1 minute, it's like basically consolidating.
No. So for this one right here, I would actually, if this here was bearish, so say for example, this here looked like this where it was right now, and this right here is how it looks like right now, right? If that was the case, then I would take the entry. But for this one right here, this is at 912, right? So if I rewind this to 912, yeah, it's on this candle right here, actually. So if you rewind it to 912, it wouldn't even line up because you have a buy signal right here at 912. But like I was saying, if you do have it like this, where it's already bearish and bearish, like everything's lined up, and I see this here, then I would take this trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Because the 1 minute, it changes so quickly where it's not necessarily like there's not too much weight on the 1 minute. That's why the 1 minute is the last requirement. And that's where we take the entry. Because so the logic behind this type of trading is that if you see that it's bearish on the 10 minute and the 5 minute, most of the time it doesn't really matter where you take an entry, right? Like you can take an entry anywhere. And if you're lucky or if your stop loss is wide enough, it'll draw down a little bit, like it'll go reverse, but eventually it's going to come right back down because you have such a strong direction on the higher time frames.
right.
Yeah. So like before I had these momentum indicators, like because I didn't know where to make entry, right? I would typically just take it when price would cross below. So like instead of waiting for say this one right here, I would have just entered before it, like right here, because once it closes below the pivots, and this is kind of similar to the other strategy that I've been like kind of hinting to you guys, the momentum scalp variation is just a small variation to it, where if you have something like this right here, this is actually the entry for the other one, because you're not looking for momentum, you're looking for pending momentum, because when you do get a momentum, you'll see that each momentum candle is at least like 100 pips, right? So if you're taking a trade here, like on this prior one, and you're only going for 100 pips, the odds of you catching that, like if you get a sell signal back in the direction of the trend, then it's going to blast right through your TP.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
I was gonna ask about that because
yeah,
I didn't know. I heard you talking about it this morning, but I wasn't sure what it was. I was like, what's the momentum scalp? And then you just you just went through what it basically is. So you
yeah.
have to oh sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
So basically what you're waiting for is you're waiting for like just a pending momentum signal and you don't have to wait for it to close. You're just waiting for it to
Yeah,
flash.
yeah. So this is the regular momentum scale. Let me see if I made the requirements for the other one. I don't think I thought I did, but let me just refresh this real quick. Yeah, so the main difference between the momentum scalp and the other one, the variation, is that you're looking for a pending momentum instead of a regular momentum. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah, no, I don't. But yeah, basically the main difference between the momentum scalp and the pending momentum is that if you have everything here bearish, So say everything here lines up as bearish, right? So you already know price is going to come down. Eventually it's going to come down. You don't know when, but you know eventually it's going to come back down. Let me see if I can just go back to that same example. I thought I had the requirements set up, but I didn't. So let's just go back to like 9 something. It was like 9:30, I think. It's not an official strategy because I haven't really tested it yet, but it's a pattern that I saw repeating itself over and over again. Like this is good to be used when the market's trending super heavy, because sometimes you'll see the market's trending very heavy in one direction, but then you don't have any entries, right? Because we're waiting for that sell signal, but sometimes that sell signal will never come up because it never retraces. So instead of, oh, here we go. I already marked it up. I think it was this one right here. Yeah, so the way that this one works, slightly different. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing because you're still looking for momentum. It's just your entries in a different place. So let me just grab the requirements for my chat with Maddie, and I'll just save them here so that we have them. We have them later, but it's super simple. Okay, right here. Yeah, I thought I put the requirements up, but it's okay. Oh, you know what? I didn't put it because it wasn't in all in caps. Momentum, scalp, variation 1, confirm overall trend on 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute. 2, confirm retracement, momentum signal on 1 minute. 3, confirm price close past pivots and retracement. Minute. 4, confirm price close past pivots, correction overall trend. 5, on close of the candle. TP stop loss. No entry okay if candle closes signal. Okay, so let me just save this real quick so we can have this. Yeah, so the reason why I kind of was looking for something like this is because last week we had like a very strong trend, right? Price kept going up, but there was no buy signal, so we couldn't take an entry. But I was seeing a lot of entries come up on the chart. So let me just copy this over here. Yeah, so basically what you're doing for this here is you're confirming overall trend. We're already doing that for the momentum scalp, right? So if you're looking for a momentum scalp, I mean, that's already done for you because you're already confirming it on all time frames. So like looking at the overall direction of trend, it's bearish, it's bearish, it's bearish right here. Next, you want to confirm retracement. So like basically you're looking for a retracement signal, a 1 minute, right? Or a buy signal when the trend is going down. So you got the buy signal right here. This is going to be a retracement right there. And then once you have that, now you're just waiting for price to come back below. So you have price retrace up. That's going to be requirement number 2. Third, you want to confirm price closes past the pivot. So you're looking for basically like you're looking for a wave in price. Price basically waves up, retraces, and then you're looking for it to come right back down for your entry, which would be right here. So it's kind of like a variation, like a normal variation, but this is going to be in combination of the momentum scalp. So price drops back below. Again, for requirement 1, look for overall trend. It's bearish. Requirement 2, look for retracement signal right there. Third, you want to confirm price is retracing above the pivots. So looking at this over here, you can see, let me just maximize this. Looking at this right here, you can see how price is in a downtrend, right? So price is in a downtrend. And this is the retracement right here. So price retraces up and you're basically just waiting for it to come back down lower. Sorry, I don't know if you hear that beeping noise, my washer.
Oh yeah, no, I just heard that. What is that?
Yeah, that's my washer. My washer just finished. But anyways, so again, requirement 1, confirm overall trend is bearish. Requirement number 2, confirm retracement momentum. This could technically be the one right here. The momentum retracement. Like technically this would be the one that you're looking for, but it wouldn't meet criteria because the candle is never closed below the pivots, right? Because that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for
Yeah.
price to go in a direction. And number two, you're looking for retracement momentum. So this is the retracement momentum, but it never comes back below. So another buy signal is right here. And this is going to be the one that you're actually paying attention to because this is already passed, right?
Right.
So requirement one, downwards trend. Requirement two, retracement right here. This doesn't ever fit the criteria. So you look for the next retracement, which is right here. Third, you want to confirm that price is closing past the pivots in retracement. So price is below here, pushes up right here, and it closes above the pivots. So once you confirm that, you're like, okay, that's step three. Step four, you want to confirm price comes back below. So price closes past the pivots in correction. So we already know price is bearish. Whenever price closes right back below the pivots, this is going to be the direction of price, right? So once you have that, this is where your entry is going to be made. So instead of waiting for the sell signal, applying the regular momentum scalp, this is just a small variation. So instead of, you're kind of getting a head start on the entry because you're going to enter right here. And then as soon as you get the momentum signal, that momentum signal is going to blast right to your TP, right? Because it's going to be at least 100 pips. So you can see right there, the sell signal, it gets really close to hitting your TP and then the momentum just pushes through. So the cool thing about this here is that you can take a momentum scalp variation and then you can also take, like you can take two positions. You can also take the momentum scalp by itself, the regular one. So then you kind of double positions right there.
Yeah, so like two birds, one stone.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people always complain about there not being enough entries. So I'm like, all right, well, here's another one, right? But I don't want to put too many strategies out there because it's where people get confused. I'm okay with putting strategies that line up with each other. So like, for example, this is one that we could use. And then, well, there's basically three now. If this ever becomes an official strategy, which it probably will, you'll have this one, the momentum scalp, and then also the high-low momentum pivot scalp. It's the same thing. It's just you add pivot to it, right? So all these strategies here, you can't really screw them up because they're all the same thing. Like they're literally all based off momentum. It's just one's a variation, one's off base moment, like directly off momentum, and then the other one is off the pivots. But like for every strategy, you're still confirming the same thing. Like if you look at the requirements, like you're still looking for the overall trend. So in either case, you got to confirm overall trend here on the variation momentum scalp, and then you still have to confirm momentum here or trend here on the momentum scalp regular, and you still got to confirm the trend here as well on the high-low momentum pivot scalp. So either way, all the requirements are the same. It's just entries taken at different times.
And was the high-low momentum pivot scalp, was that based off of, I think it was supply and demand, or no, am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're exactly right.
Okay.
So the way that, so here, I'll show you an example of that one. So we already showed you the variation. I could probably find one here that lines up with like everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. This entry right here was not, let's see. Sorry, I'm just gonna respond to William right now. So Will, we just discussed that right now. So Will said trend was not bearish. I don't know if like you just rejoined the live, Will, but we kind of just explained that with this here. I was mentioning if the 5-minute is bearish and the 10-minute is bearish, and this has been bearish, but it just pulled up for retracement. What do you think price is going to go? You think price is going to be automatically bullish if everything's bearish? It's not, right? It's probably going to come back down and continue in the direction of the trend. So this right here, the overall trend is still, so the difference with this here, when you're confirming overall trend, doesn't mean that every single trend has to be bearish, right? It means that the Hey, Jonathan, can you hear me?
Yeah, it just froze.
Yeah, it froze up for a second. I don't know what happened there. All right, I'm back. That was weird. It was like me and Will got kicked out of the group for some reason. Okay, I think you guys are good now. All right, let's continue with this. So my bad, John. I think I lost my train of thought here. Well, what were we were just going over this, right? These two. Oh, I was going to show you an example with like all the requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me see if I could find one over here. So I don't think there was one that came up. No, this one right here wasn't one. Okay, so this one right here is actually one. CT said Sean had to take his clothes out the dryer. Yeah, real quick. All right, guys. So let's see. Back to this right here. So what we were talking about right now was when you'll find an entry that aligns with pretty much all of the strategies. And there's one that is right here. So I'm going to zoom in real quick so it's easier to see. All right. So looking at this big red candle right here, I'll go over the first high-low momentum scalp strategy. So for this one, you want to identify momentum. Momentum signal could be valid or invalid. This one right here is obviously valid. Second, you want to draw a zone at the high-low before momentum. So it's going to be this one right here. Once you've confirmed that, for step 3, you want to confirm that momentum is rejecting off the high-low zone. So you can see this candle here is pushing away from it. And then you want to confirm that you're trading the direction of overall trend. So this is just like what I was discussing earlier, right? Trend can shift quickly on the 1 minute. So like, for example, here price was neutral, then it was bullish, and on the specific candle here, it turned bearish. So everything here was bearish on the 1 minute, bearish on the 5 minute, bearish on the 10 minute. Once you've had that confirmed, you can classify this as an entry for the high-low momentum scalp, right? So for that one right there, this is going to be a high-low momentum scalp. On top of that, it's also going to be a momentum scalp variation because this is literally the same strategy, except you're not looking for this rejection off the structure. So this one meets all the requirements here too. Overall trend is bearish. Retracement on the, sorry, wrong strategy. Overall trend was bearish. Momentum was on the 10 minute. Momentum was on the 5 minute. Momentum was on the 1 minute. Everything aligns. And this would be an entry for a momentum scalp. So this candle right here is an entry for both the high-low momentum pivot scalp and also the momentum scalp. For the momentum scalp variation, this one over here as well, everything lines up. Everything is in a downwards trend. You have the retracement right here. The retracement off this green candle. You have price retrace above. Price does come back below, but then it does come back above over here. And the main purpose of this example is to show you like when all these here align. So this again right here comes back below. Retracement happens here with this candle. Price is retraced above the pivots right here. And then this candle drops below. With this one right here, this is where the note happens, where it says entry is okay if candle closes with a signal for requirement 4. So for requirement 4, you want to confirm that price closes past the pivots right below in the direction of the trend, which it happens right here. And it also has a sell signal. So if you were to line that up, you can see that pretty much all of the requirements are met for all 3 strategies. And this one for sure would be like a for sure hit because these are all very high probability entries. You take one, this becomes like a super entry and it blasts right through it with no drawdown, right? And then it just keeps dropping lower. So this one happened kind of late though, like at 10:06. So probably not one I would take because I don't trade that late, but it does meet the criteria.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it gives
Yeah.
you more confluences and it makes you more confident in the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's why, like for these right here, I think these would be okay to apply on the live session because they're all the same thing. Like they're all basically the same strategy. It's just you're looking for something specific, right? Like you're looking for the momentum signal. I think that's what makes these types of entries on the live session a lot easier for people to follow because like when you look for variations, they're so easy to miss, right? You'll see these come up all the time, but you don't have like a marker showing you that, okay, this is going to be an entry. When you look for these entries applying these strategies, you're literally looking for the momentum signals because that's going to tell you exactly when to enter. Yeah, CT said there's another entry right here at 925. Yeah, this one right here too. Or actually, no, so this would be a entry for momentum scalp. Actually, no, this would just be a momentum scalp. And he said 855. Yeah, this one right here as well, CT. Yeah, so this one right here actually would be one where the momentum signal came on the drawback below because they retraced right here and then came back below. This one is a super tight entry though. Let me see. Actually, no, this isn't too, it wasn't that tight. It was all right. So I know that it was okay. See, Madhu's asking, are you referring to all the pivots or any? So basically all the pivots. So like the retracement that I'm talking about, Madhu, is when, or the retracement just has to be above like any pivot. So let me show you examples here. You can see how price is in a downtrend right here. When price comes up above any pivot, like for example, this green pivot right here, right? Or not even green pivot, the green candle. So whenever a candle comes up above it, like this one right here, this would be considered a retracement. It doesn't have to be above any other, like any specific pivot, but just any pivot at all. That's gonna be considered retracement. When price comes back below, so right here, it didn't come back below. Still doesn't come back below there. You're just waiting for it to close back below the pivots. So this is the retracement. Okay, now this right here is the confirmation. This is where you could have taken, an entry for that specific strategy again. So again, right here, you have that set up. And then right there, full TP. So it's not all the pivots. It's just, well, I mean, yeah, technically all the pivots, but you don't have to let it retrace above all the pivots. It just needs to retrace like above the pivots and then back below. And then vice versa. If you're looking for a buy, you just want to see it push above, come back below, and then swing back up. But that's only if like the trend is going in that direction. Yeah, no problem, Madhu. All right. So Jonathan, what was the other question that you had? Or do you want to keep going down these? If there's anything else that you want to drill down on, we can keep going up, like whatever example.
No, I think I'm pretty good with strategies. As pretty like you just gave me a refresher because I've been trying to like really get it down to where you have to just when I follow you on the live, I'm always making sure that I'm looking at the two other time frames and not just following the 1 minute because I think that's what used to get me a lot was I wouldn't even pay attention to the other time frames, and when I take an entry on the 1 minute and it would lose, I'd wonder why, and it would be because I wasn't even paying attention to the overall trend with the higher time frames.
Yeah, that's a problem with like just focusing on the one because the one there's so much noise, bro. It's like you see this thing go crazy. Like today was pretty crazy. That's why I didn't take anything myself. Just looking at the chart from like 6:30 to 8, it was a mess. And I'm glad I didn't take anything. Did you trade anything today or you're just set out?
No, I just whatever you enter, I just do that same thing. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
try to do my own thing no more because I've crashed and burned like so many times.
yeah, no, and it's fine. That's how everybody is. Like the market was it was like we were looking for a bearish confirmation, but we never got it, right? Price just kept going up, going down, going up, and it just kept faking out. I mean, this range
How
here.
did
Oh, what were you gonna say?
how was the breakout today? Did it appear?
Let me see. I think it did. I think it was for the sell right here, but the candle was too big, so we just ended up not taking it. Yeah, because it was just way too big. This was the breakout for today. But when the candle's big like this, obviously you wouldn't enter it. Like what I would have done if I was to take this trade here for the breakout, I would have let it retrace. So we had a bearish bias already. So this lined up with pretty much everything, but there was a sessions right there too, I believe. Yeah, so there was a lot of red flags here. This was the breakout because we had a sell momentum, plus the candle was a strong red candle. But the main problem here was, one, it was right at the sessions. They had to cut through the sessions, and then two, the candle was too big. So if you look at the requirements here for the red flag, or not really requirements, but the red flags, typically when you have one, it might be okay. Like for example, if it was just the candle was too big, then what I would have done is I would have let it retrace. So you can see right here how it kind of goes up a little bit. I would have let it retrace. And then what I would do is I'd have my sell stop right here just to catch it as it comes back down. The main reason I for sure didn't want to take this trade was because it was two red flags. It was candle was too big, plus it was actually three red flags. First, candle was too big. Price was near the session. And then the third red flag was that price was at the, it was ranging. So, you get three red flags. This is for sure something that you want to avoid, because price was pretty much ranging right here pre-market and just blasted through. So yeah, this would have been the breakout if I would have taken it, but I didn't take it myself. I actually haven't taken the breakout in a long time because it's just,
Yeah,
it has been messy.
I see a lot of people take it, and it kind of makes me like want to take it too. The FOMO effect.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
no,
like, it's
that's
hidden, but I'm like, I don't want to get caught in anything that's, just like gonna like either go up or like it's not gonna hit or it's gonna hit. So it's like it's a risk with that one.
yeah. No, it's a big risk. If you do want to take the breakout, I do recommend taking with like a really small lot size, either half or a quarter lot size. So like for me, I'm taking 100 lot, right, for a scalp. If I was to take the breakout like for a full move, I would either take a 50 or even a 25. Like I wouldn't even take the risk because it's just not worth it. Because if I'm in the hole from the breakout, then it's going to be hard for me to scalp, because then I could only lose so much, on the next trade if I
Yeah,
do. So it's just not worth it for me personally. It's still a good trade though. I see a lot of people still make a lot of profits, and I could tell because I do get FOMO too when I see people post at profits, and we're here just chilling, waiting for a trade to come in. like today I didn't have anything, but then some people did take, like what they did is they actually entered the breakout early because this candle just spiked pretty hard. And looking over here at the profits, I think Billy over here actually took some of it. Yeah, he got in a little later though, so he got in at 632. So he got in like right here when price was bouncing off he basically got it on retracement. So he didn't take it initially. He caught it as it came back up, and when it bounced off the sessions right here, he just took it for a quick move at 632, and he just locked in a quick profit, 2,300. So some people do that. They just wait for the retracement and they hop in. But
yeah,
it's just not worth the
it's
risk,
still
because
risk.
yeah, it's still risky, because if you took that there, like it would have stopped you out on the next one if you held on to it for too long. So it's just not worth the risk in my perspective. I know I came up with the strategy and I thought it was good for a while, but it's like your coffee in the morning, right? Because you're going to be so stressed out like over the first couple of minutes of the market, and I'd rather just not have that, because then it's just going to screw up the rest of my live session.
You know what? One time I blew an account by taking the breakout because I over leveraged and I took the breakout, and it just went straight to my stop loss.
Yeah, the problem with that too is that when the market's too volatile, like for example, this candle was like way too big. So whenever you get a big candle like this, you already are like, I'm already anticipating the retracement, right? Like when you see something like this here, like say for example, there's no session there, or even worse, there's a session there, right? So for sure a retracement is going to happen. So you see something like that, price is going to retrace to either the halfway mark or the full candle.
Yeah, because the session almost acts like a resistance, right?
Yeah, exactly. It acts like a pretty strong like support and resistance. Like whenever you see price get near it, it's gonna like boomerang back to where it was before, right? So like for example, here price comes down, shoots up, comes down again, and then it shoots up again right there, right? So it's not a good area to trade. Like this is for sure one of the main red flags where I'm just like, all right, I'm definitely not going to take this trade, because it's probably going to backfire on me, and then I'm just going to be punching air all morning. You know, would be annoyed.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let's see. Medusa, can you put up the requirements for the three momentum? Yeah, let me put up the requirements right here. So yeah, I mean, is there any other questions? I can't remember if you had another one after that.
Uh, I think. Let me think. Oh well, it's basically psychology. So like, how do
Yeah.
you deal with FOMO yourself? Um,
You know, the thing with FOMO is that I started to not care about what other people were doing, right? I think that's the main thing. And I feel like that's the thing that a lot of people need to get over too, because I feel like you said earlier, like, you know, we'll be waiting for a trade and you'll see people posting profits. And you're like, how the hell are people profiting and we're not taking any trades?
yeah.
And the thing is, they're applying the other strategies. So like people still apply the variations, people still apply the breakout, the daily, all that stuff. I mean, the easiest way to really get over that is to just not care, right? Because if you don't care about what other people are doing, then you're not going to get FOMO. And I think that's the thing with me because, um, you know, I've seen people blow accounts left and right. So like, I'd rather not be one of those people, and I've learned to not be one of those people by like just not taking a trade. So I think
Like
that
better to be safe than sorry.
yeah, exactly. And then you guys see my consistency every day. Like we haven't lost a trade on the live session for I don't know, like 2 months now, because like even though I was only taking a couple of trades, like you know, of course I'm not making a crazy amount of profit like everybody else. Um,
But with your multiple accounts, man, you just need one or two.
yeah, exactly. That's all
That's
I need.
that's
So,
where
so
that's where
yeah,
it kicks in.
exactly. And that's like the thing that a lot of people need to see. Like if you guys can have multiple accounts, it adds up a lot. Like for this week or for this month, I have 12 wins and 0 losses, right? It's only for 1,700 pips. So like for example, I'm making like 1,000 per trade. Which we took like 12 trades times you know 1,000, that's like 12,000, right? It doesn't seem like a lot, but you multiply that by 6 accounts and yeah, it adds up. So like yeah, I think like what you have to do for the most part is really not care about what other people are doing. Because I, you know,
Yeah.
we had people in the group before and it I don't know, it's crazy because some people were blaming other people for them losing. Like,
Oh, I
you know,
had somebody blame me once, but
yeah,
I think you remember the girl that did that I think I posted there was a snipe entry when we used to do the 10-minute snipe. I
yeah.
posted about it, and because I lost, she blamed me. Like, well, why did you say that this was going to be an entry? Well, it was an entry, but I don't control the market, so like we just like yeah,
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, there's people that are gonna look for people to blame for everything, right? If people make a mistake, you know, the only way for you to get better from that too is to just own up to it. Like if you made a mistake, you just got to own up to it. Like, okay, I made a mistake, I took the loss, then move on to the next trade. We had a couple of people in the group that were complaining, people like Kevin, right? So you guys know Kevin in the group. He posts like crazy profit sometimes. A lot of people were questioning, you know, whether it was real or whether it was fake. You know, for me, I don't care whether it's real or fake. I'm glad that he's profiting, but like yeah,
I think
like he
that's
would
just
post
jealousy.
yeah, like Sisu here will post profits, right? There was a guy in the group, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was like, man, Sisuk is like, or he was blaming Sisuk and Kevin, saying that these guys are posting unrealistic profits and making him think that this was something that he could do. So he tried to copy what they're doing. They just end up blowing all of his accounts. And then he was blaming, like, he's like, they shouldn't post profits like that because it's just going to give people the idea that trading is easy. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like just because someone does well doesn't mean that it has any effect on your trading.
Yeah,
That
it's
person,
just like
yeah, exactly. They're just making mistakes and they're looking for somebody to blame for them blowing
yeah,
their accounts. Uh, but it, you
yeah.
know,
I've
it's
never done that. Every account I've blown has been on my own doing.
yeah,
Literally.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah,
Uh,
I think you know the easiest way for you to really get across like the FOMO and stuff is to just really not care. Or just don't even look at people's profits. I know it's hard to not look because I go over it during the live session, but you just got to focus on your own account, like
yeah,
and make sure that you're sticking to your trading plan. Like for my trading plan here on the live session, this is all I'm following, right? I know there's variations here that are coming up. Like I could look at the chart right here, and I could see that there is a variation right here that could have been taken, you know, full TP. there's a lot of trades. So if I go, sorry, Madhu, did you get the requirements right here? You know, I'll post this in the group actually, Madhu, if you want that. It'll be easier for you to just copy it. So I'll post it right here in the group, Madhu, so you can have that there. But yeah, like I was mentioning, Jonathan, like for my trading plan, you know, this is all I'm following. So I'm not really looking at any other strategies. But if we go over here to like, or let me just clean this up. If we go over here to the live session from today, you'll see that there's actually a lot of entries that came up this morning, but I didn't take any of them. So from 8 o'clock. Yeah, so just pointing out at the other entries that came up, like looking at this right here, for example. Right, this candle right here, broken close below, that's a high-low scalp entry, right?
Yeah.
So people are taking that entry, but I'm not taking it myself. Again, right here, there's like a, let's see if there's a variation anywhere around here. No variation over here.
I think there's quick scalps though. The high low.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of quick
That's the
scalps.
one that Maddie does, right?
Yeah, Maddie loves that. So like,
Yeah, I try to do those and it was a
they're
little.
too fast. The other too
No,
fast.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're only good if like you're cracked out, bro. Like if you're cracked out on coffee and watching, like for example, there's one right here. You got a high right there, a wick, and then you would have
that's
taken
like
the sell right there.
that would be like a what is that? Like a double body.
Yeah, close to it. Not
Yeah.
exactly, but close to
Oh
it.
no, yeah.
But yeah, some people in the group like to take this. Like I know Natasha likes to take it, and Maddie likes to take it. Those are the two main people that I know who actually like the quick scalp. I like the quick scalp too, but it's just it's not something I can take on the live session because what happens with a lot of people is that they get greedy, right? They'll see something here and they'll start to take like every single thing that they might think is a quick scalp.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that because I could probably make a ton of profit trading that, but I'm probably going to end up, people are going to end up blowing their accounts and blaming me because they're not fast enough to hit trades. So I don't
Yeah,
want to
you
take the
gotta be
blame.
super focused.
Yeah, you got to be really, really focused. That's why I was like mentioning, you just got to figure out what works for you. Like, for example, for me, it's just these three strategies. And I think this is what works best for everybody too, because it gives you enough time to analyze the market and to actually catch it right when it happens. You don't have to be staring at the chart like every
Yeah.
second look for the entry. So that's why I stick to these here, and they're all pretty much the same strategy. But you can see, like, if you look throughout the chart all morning, there were like variations right there. Actually, there wasn't that many entries this morning, but there was a couple. There was like variation, quick scalps. The quick scalps do come up a lot, but you have to like really know what you're doing to take those.
I
So
had one more question, but it's more so about like the last hour of the New York session.
yeah,
Would you? I know you said that from like 8 to 10 is like a bad time, but would you recommend if we're looking to trade like afternoon that like 11 to close would be a good time?
yeah. So it would be a good time as long as like the overall trend is strong, right? So like for example, I'm just go over here to 11, 12. 12 is like for sure the cutoff. And one thing that you have to look out for is when price starts to consolidate, because that's like where it starts to get messy, right? So like for example here, 1151, this would have been a loss, but let me check the other charts right here. So I don't necessarily recommend it, but I mean, if you need to trade at that time, then I would trade closer to the earlier half of 11 o'clock. Like once you get close to 12, that's where the mid-market reversal starts to happen. And that's where you're going to get caught in like, some bad
Something.
moves. Yeah, you're going to get caught in something that you don't want to be caught in. So
Because they fluctuate price heavy like the last 30 minutes, don't they?
exactly. Yeah, like the last hour
Yeah.
to 30 minutes, price gets fluctuated super heavy. So if you were to trade in the afternoon or not necessarily the afternoon, but like later in the day, the times that I would trade would be probably between like 10 and 11 or like 10:30 to like 11:30. Anything past 11:30 is kind of iffy because you're starting to get close to mid-market reversal time where a lot of people like you get a lot of volatility towards the end of the market. Once you get to that point, that's where like a lot of the institutions take control. So you're going to start to see
Yeah.
a lot of volatility and high spikes in price. So typically, I mean, it was pretty bearish here from like 10 to 11 or 10 to 12, actually. So if you look over here at the 1 minute, basically any of the entries that came up around this area here. So this one over here would have been a loss if you would have taken it, because obviously price starts to reverse. And this is like a cutoff time anyways, because like it's so close to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
You can see from like 12 o'clock, price starts to reverse completely for that mid-market reversal. So this one right here would have been a loss. We're just going to be transparent and count that as a loss if you were to take a trade at that time. But if you look at anything before that, I think everything else here would have probably hit. So this one over here would have been good. Yeah, full TP. This one over here as well. Looks like this could have been good too. Yeah, this one right here too, full TP. This one right here, I wouldn't have taken this trade, but it looks like it still would have hit. It was too close to the sessions.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You always gotta look out for the sessions. That's
Yeah,
I
was
know
just
sometimes I think there's sometimes when you have it turned off on the live, and I think I'm like, oh no, and then it's I find out there was a sessions there, so the trade would have been invalid anyways.
yeah, exactly, 100%. One thing too that I like to look at whenever I take entries, or it's not really necessary, but I like to have like a target price point, right? So like, for example, like this one right here, I probably wouldn't have taken this one, even though it would have hit. And I probably would have maybe taken this one, but this one I probably would have skipped, because what I like to have is target price point. So for example, this one right here, this one I probably would have taken. This one does hit TP. Actually, no, I take that back. It doesn't have a target price point. It's because the trend here is too, yeah, I was looking for the low point.
Because overextension.
Yeah, because it's like it's
That's the-
overextended. So you're gonna be scared that price is gonna retrace up. Typically when I take a sell, I like taking sells when there's a low there. So I have an idea like, okay, price has to drop, but it's probably gonna drop to this point. Like this one again, it's at the sessions, but I can see that there's like a low right here. And a low right here. So I'm like, okay, if price comes down, it's gonna have to come down to at least this price point to like get my TP. Like here and here. It's not a requirement because I think it's it's right. It's pretty much psychological on my end, right? So for me, it's like if I see a low here, I'm like, okay, there's a low there, so I can kind of predict, okay, price has got to push down at least to reach that point to retest it. So that's why I don't put it as a requirement. But for myself, if I don't feel good about a position, seeing a low right there will make me feel better about it. So I'm like, okay, if there's a low there, because it's not out in the open, right? So if you see price out in the open like this, you're like, man, when is price going to swing back up, right? Because it just keeps dropping. And then there's no lows here until like Friday's price, like way over here. But there is lows. So if you go back far enough, you'll see that there is lows. So price is right here. But if you go on like, say the hour chart, there's lows here. It hasn't tested this since like November, right? Early November. So,
Oh yeah, I see.
yeah, like price pushed up from right here. So yeah, that's just one thing that I use. There's a lot of different things that I use to help my trade psychology. Like it doesn't really matter how long you've been trading, you're still going to get kind of thrown off by trades that you guys see. Like even though the requirements are met, there's going to be other things that you're going to look for that you don't really think about. It's just like second nature to you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I'm good though. Seemed like you answered every question I had. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for this because I've been meaning to get down to the nitty gritty of everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like when you're trading you really have to like cover all aspects. Like you can't just cover the requirements, because you could have the best requirements ever, but if you don't have the trade psychology to really execute, you're not going to be able to come up on top. But yeah, no, I'm glad that you set this up, because I know it's been a long time coming before we had our session, and we finally had it.
Better late than never.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just got I just paid for the challenge again. I just got it like not last week, but I didn't take a trade. So I'm just probably gonna wait till the new year because this week is it's basically holiday week. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna just wait probably till either the following week or just the new year, basically.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little risky this week. So I'm even myself, I'm gonna take a little take it a little safer. Yeah, and I think also like FTMO that they're giving like extra days. So like if you were to start on accident, like say for tomorrow, you just felt like starting, I think they're giving like an extra like 20 days or something or 13 days on the, but you should probably check with them before you do that. But if you do end up starting early, I think they do give you some extra time. So say if you take a trade today or tomorrow, and then you forget that, you know, it's Christmas week, then I think you should be fine because you'll basically have like extra days to keep going.
Plus, they give you the extension.
Yeah, yeah, and then they'll give you extension if necessary. Because I mean,
That's what.
realistically, if you're doing a 1% risk or you know around there, you'll be able to at least be in profit enough for them to give you like an extra extension.
Yeah, I think because mainly I've been trying to just do one trade a day with the max 3% risk, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and if
I
you
was
don't
gonna
have,
ask.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. So like I know you have multiple accounts. So when you have multiple accounts and you're only taking one trade, would you still risk that 3% across all accounts, or would you just lower it to 1%?
So I would have to use the 3% because the stop loss doesn't change and then the lot size doesn't change either. Because if I use a smaller lot size, then my profit's going to be smaller too.
Right,
Typically when I'm funded, well, with my trades, I'm only risking 3% or like even less sometimes. Um, so I could go lower if I really wanted to, but at that point, it's kind of like, what's the point? Because I'm already confident with the entry, right? If I don't feel confident about it, then yeah, maybe it's better to lower it. But since I do feel confident, like I'm only looking for very high quality entries, I'm
right.
okay. Like if I do eat a loss, I know what happens. You know, it's part of the game. So I think the lot size that I'm using right now for our live sessions, that's like sweet spot because I could go higher. Like if say if I was doing a challenge, I could technically take 150 lot or a 200 lot. But since I'm not in the challenge, I don't need to go for those big profits because if I do lose those trades, then I'll end up being in a deeper hole, right? If I end up losing something or losing two trades back to back. So I found like that lot size is a sweet spot for me and a sweet spot for everyone, whether you're funded or whether you're in your challenge, because it's enough for you to reach your profit goal within the month. But it's low enough where like if you have two back-to-back losses or three back-to-back losses, it's not going to put you in too deep of a hole to get out of you know, once you bounce back from it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I remember when it was the summertime when I was on a hot streak. I think you remember that. I was about to pass, and I had like four more wins away, and I only had like 4 trading days in, and I was already like up, I think 4 to 5%. So basically, that one trade a day was really like the key to that whole process.
Yeah, exactly. So like what I would recommend is to just focus on winning, right? Don't focus on the profits because if you look at the profits, that's where you start to get greedy because you're like, oh, I'm only like $100 away or $200 away or
Yeah,
$1,000 away. When you see that, you're like, okay, I want to force a trade today because I want to be funded by tomorrow or I want to pass a challenge by tomorrow. If you just focus on the wins, like I think this is like what happened with Maddie too. Like, you know, if you just focus on the wins, you're gonna get a random email from FTMO like, hey, congratulations, you passed your challenge. You wouldn't even know it because you're not looking at the profits. You're just looking at you're focusing on winning. So I think taking out the profit aspect of your trades is gonna really change your mindset. Because if you're just focused on winning and not losing, then if you just keep winning back to back to back, eventually, you know, you're gonna make your way to passing that challenge or that verification or staying funded if you're already funded.
you're right. No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Because it's that they even say that too. They say like with anything you do, don't ever focus on the money. Just focus on like the craft because that's what's gonna get you to that next level.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like even like going to the gym, right? Like if you're going to the gym and you're weighing yourself every day, you're gonna be pissed off once you're like overweight, a pound or so,
Yeah,
right? So yeah, if you just keep going to the gym and you know you're doing some workout every single day, you're gonna start to look better over a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Like it's just it's inevitable. Same with trading. If you just focus on winning and you focus on not losing, then it's inevitable that you'll be profitable. Because if you don't lose and you just keep winning, like for this whole for the past month or two, right? For December and November, we only have one loss. So like for me on these live sessions, I'm focused on winning these trades. So if I'm just winning trades back to back to back, I'm like, oh crap, I made a lot of profit at the end of the week, right? I don't really care about what's my profit for the day. as long as I have like 1 or 2 wins a day, then I'm pretty much solid. Because I know at the end of the week, I'm going to have like a lot of profits. Even if I lose one trade, I'm still going to be in profit because I did pretty well overall.
Right. No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But I think I'm good with everything. Like I said, I appreciate it, once again. And yeah, I'm just trying to get funded. That's all. So I'm gonna just focus on the wins, like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
both
no,
said.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then once you're funded, you can always lower your lot size, bro. Like, your lot size right now, or like what you're using, like what I'm currently using is just the sweet spot. So like it's enough for now, but once you're funded and you're pretty much satisfied, you could even start taking half lot sizes, right? You'll make half profit, but the the
The wins is what matters.
yeah, the wins is what matters because you'll still make profit. Like, you're not going to complain about making a couple $1,000 a month, even though you could have made like, multiple. Like for example, like I'm not complaining about making 12,000 or 72,000, across all my accounts. Like yeah,
Yeah.
of course I could take more trades and I could probably make double this, but I'm pretty much content because if even if you had less than this, like say we had 12 trades and you were to do, or like it was 12,000 with the trades of December, right? If you were to take that for a half lot size, you're still going to make like six, which is still more than what most people make at a normal job, right? Like if you do
Yeah,
6,000 a month, yeah,
that's
exactly.
like 3, 4 months of work.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Like
6,000 right here divided by four, that's like a 1,500 a week divided by 40. That's like getting paid like 37.50 an hour, right? So that, and it's not a big deal. Like, and if you once you get better, you can just keep increasing your lot size because you're gonna
and
have more
getting more
profit.
accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's not really like what your profit is going to be at the end of the month. It's really what your profit going to be at the end of the year, right? If you can stay consistent and you can just keep stacking your profits, it's inevitable. You'll start buying more accounts. You'll start like funding your personal account. There's like the possibilities are endless, and it's just a rinse and repeat of the same process every single day.
And then the money just flows to anywhere else that you want it to. Like
Yeah,
like other investments like real estate or anything. And then there's
yeah,
more cash flow just keeps coming in and in.
exactly. Yeah, and like what Madhu said too, and not working anywhere near 40 hours per week. Yeah, we're trading for like an hour each morning, and then you got the rest of the day to yourself. So like realistically, you can do this, and if you want to do this as a side hustle, right? If you just want to trade in the morning, and then you can, like you mentioned, you can flow that income to something else. Like you can go into real estate, or you can go to e-commerce, or you can spend the rest of your day doing something else. And you'll still probably make more money than what you're doing working a normal job. So it's just really like it's how you want to live your life. Like for me personally, that's kind of why I stopped mentoring for a while, because I was kind of chilling for like a whole year. Like literally this whole year,
Oh
bro,
yeah.
I didn't do no work. I didn't do any work. I didn't like the whole group was like, I didn't want to mentor anybody. I didn't want to like look for people to join the group or anything like that. I didn't even advertise or anything. I literally spent this whole year doing nothing. I just went on live with you guys in the morning. We traded, made my profit, and then I went to the gym and I did whatever I wanted. I picked up like a bunch of random hobbies I didn't really like. And here I am back to mentoring because I like mentoring. Like I realized like over this year, I like teaching trading and I like trading. So
It
it
gives
goes,
you purpose.
yeah, it gives me purpose. Cause like I feel like this whole year I was kind of doing nothing and I was making profit, but I wasn't really having fun throughout the day, right? So like now I'm here mentoring you, and this doesn't really feel like work because we're just hanging out and I'm showing you how to do stuff. Uh, and it's just beneficial for both of us because like going over these strategies, it forces me to review these strategies so I get better at applying them as well. So like when you go into live sessions, I don't really have to think about anything. I see the entry and I just take it without even thinking. So it's
Right.
beneficial for both of us.
100%.
Yeah.
Uh well I think I'm good, but I appreciate this once again. And I'm gonna head out. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
No,
if you're
definitely.
gonna continue with the mentoring session with everyone else.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer a couple more questions and then we're just going to wrap it up. I have one question over here from Adu, and then I have a question from James and Barty as well. So I think that's about it. But yeah, if you want to cut out, you're good, Jonathan. And I'll catch you
Cool.
tomorrow morning on the live.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks very much, Sean. I'll see you
All right,
tomorrow.
Jonathan. Catch you tomorrow.
All right.
All right. See you. All right, so Madhu over here has one more question. He's asking, I know in general the quick scalp is more risky. If you have time, can you show what would be better entries or good ones to possibly take? So are you talking about the quick scalps, Madhu, or just strategies? Because it's quick scalps, it's kind of hard to really tell which one's going to be good or not. It's kind of it's a toss up. Okay, so for the quick scalps that I find to be really good are when the trend is like super heavy. So like for example, so this morning the trend was not good, right? It was going back and forth. So like for example, right here, let's see. I think probably around like 750 right here would be a good time. Yeah, because the trend started to come down a little bit. I mean, the trend didn't really get heavy until like way later, like past the live session time. So like when you see something like this, where price is dropping so heavily like this right here, this is probably a good time to enter some quick scalps because when you have momentum pushing down so heavy like that, the odds of it coming up are not very likely. And whenever you do see it come up, it's probably going to, it's probably just going to come right back down. So if I was to go over here, basically from 10 o'clock, let's go over here on 1 minute. All right, so you got a low right here, right? Where we have a very strong downtrend. If I saw something like this right here, I probably would have taken this if I was looking for some quick scalps here. That's probably one I would take. See if there's another one here. All right, so possible quick scalp right here. Actually, this wouldn't be a quick scalp because you need a sell signal. So yeah, even though this would have hit, wouldn't have taken that quick scalp there. There's a buy signal here, so that wouldn't be a quick scalp. Let me put the requirements here for the quick scalp. Yeah, you actually need to be in the direction of the trade. So I don't think there was too many quick scalps that came up here, but you'd have to have like this one again right here. So basically all of these quick scalps here that happened from like 10 until 11, they would have been decently okay because the trend here was like pretty heavy. Quick scalp again right there. The thing with this strategy here too, Madhu, is that it's all about like intuition, right? Like whenever you're taking the quick scalps, you don't have time to think. Like sometimes Maddie and Natasha will tell me they took a quick scalp and I don't even see the quick scalp. I'm like, what are they even taking? But then I look back at it and I'm like, okay, it happened super quick. Like for this one right here, right? This quick scalp came up right here. And like you have to like literally be watching it because like I'm pretty sure this came up like super quickly. And if you're not staring at your chart until like the very last second, you would have missed the little wick right here because this thing would have dropped down and it would be too late to enter. And then from that point, it already hit your TP. So, I mean, I like the quick scalp myself, but it's hard for me to do it during the live session because I can't really stare at the chart too much. And it's hard to back test it because you can't really see, like, for example, right here, I don't know what's going on here because I do see the high, but I can't tell when the wick actually showed up on this following candle. So I don't know when this thing actually showed the wick. So I don't know if the entry would have happened, way up here, or if it, wouldn't have happened at all because it would have been right at the sessions. So yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult. What I would recommend is if you want to get really good at it, then open up a demo account, Madhu, and every morning, like say once you're done trading, just open a demo account and just practice this quick scalps because you don't really have time to think about these entries. Like whenever you see the high come up and the trend's super heavy, you just got to keep taking it because the thing with Maddie and Natasha, and you probably want to reach out to Maddie. I think Maddie you could even set up a mentoring session with Maddie and he could probably go over it with you more in detail because he actually really likes to take these entries. I don't really take him as much because I can't focus on them during the live, but I'm sure he has another process that he likes to follow when identifying these, these quick scalps because he hits them pretty often, him and Natasha. I don't know what they're necessarily looking at specifically, but for me personally, I look for when there's a very strong trend, like super strong like this. And this doesn't happen too often. Like, for example, this morning, super choppy. I wouldn't look for any quick scalps there. But when you have a very strong trend like this, that's where I would look for it because, odds of it dropping further, at least 100 pips are very likely. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, just start watching and practicing because I feel like with Maddie and Natasha, it's just like I don't think they really have anything they're looking for. They just have that that feeling, like intuition. Like they don't really know what they're looking for aside from the requirements. They just see a high point, and they get that feeling within where they're like, okay, this looks like it's going to come back down, and they just enter it. Because I'll see them post profits, and it happens so quick. Like if you look at Natasha's profit sometimes. Like right here, she took a lot of entries. Like, let's see. And I know these are all quick scalps. So she's like literally staring at the chart. You can see right here, her trades came at like 630, 632, 639. I think these are all quick scalps right here. So like every couple of minutes, she was just catching every single quick scalp that came up. So yeah, and then Maddie as well. Maddie's busy right now. He's still in school, like he's in college, so he's doing his they're in finals, so I know that's why he hasn't really been on as much. But yeah, Maddie's been taking it too. It's quick scalps. Yeah, you can see the timestamps. They happen like within a few minutes apart. So yeah, my main advice would to be just practicing because you're going to learn it more from experience. I think you're probably going to see something. If you see anything that like stands out that we should probably look at, let me know and we can probably use that to our advantage. There was another shape or another pattern that I used to use before, but I think it was just all in my head. Like I would always look for a U shape. But if you think about it, everything's a U shape, right? So I think that was just something that was in my head. So that's usually what I would look for when I'm looking for these high-low scalps. Look for that U shape, but realistically, every high-low is going to be a U shape. So it's not, I don't think it's anything special. One thing that you can look for as well is look at the candle type patterns, right? So you see a high there, see if it's like a, 2-3 green candles and a red. If you see something like that, maybe that's going to be what you're looking for because that's what it kind of looks like here. You're going to look for these little intricacies in the market. Like you have a high there, 2 green candles, a high-low hit. Again, right here, or this wouldn't be an entry, but one right here again, right? Sell signal, 2 green candles, and then a hit. So you'll probably see patterns like that as you practice and as you play around with it. That's kind of how I develop my strategies. I just look for these patterns on the chart, and then I take them when I see them. Again, right here, right? 2 or 3 green candles, high. This comes right back down. So I think there's a strategy for that. It's called like three soldiers or something. You'll probably come across it. I've pretty much tested out like every strategy you could think of at some point in my trading career. So I kind of just like remember these patterns that I would see from other strategies, and then they line up with what I'm looking for. But yeah, it's all going to come with practice. So let's see, one more question from James. James is asking, Sean, what lot size for TFF and MFF? I use the same lot size for my FTMO on both of those brokers as well, or funding companies. They're all the same. MFF, TFF, and MFF. Barty's also asking, so what time? So I trade from 6:30 to 8 a.m., Barty, every morning. And other than that, I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We've been on this mentoring session for a little over 2 hours, so I think it's time for me to take a break. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. Otherwise, I will see you guys here on the live session for tomorrow. So if anything pops up and you guys have any questions later today, always feel free to email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com, or message me on Telegram. Telegram is going to be the fastest way to get in contact with me. So if you want to message me on there, feel free. Otherwise, I think you guys are pretty much good for today. I'm going to look at these Forex trades in a little bit. The candle doesn't close for another 2 hours. So around 6 o'clock, I'll look for entries here. USD CHF, possibly entry. But I'll keep looking. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys here tomorrow, same place, same time as we take on